Hi guys, my name is Andy Osborne, and I'm here with the Virtual Village Hall for Hall Voluntary Service. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different to what I normally do. Normally do a hit session here on a Tuesday, but today we're going to be doing a warm-up and cool-down session as part of the Get Moving week. So I'm going to be going through a warm-up, explaining to you why we warm up, showing you how you warm up and mobilize before a session, the importance of it. And then we're going to go into the cool down, show you sort of stretches you can do for your cool down sessions after you've done a workout, and the importance of them and why we do that as well. So if you have any questions or queries, feel free to put them in the comments, and I will answer them at some stage. If I might not answer them straight away, but I will answer them later, maybe after the session. Any feedback, any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. So we're going to start off with warm-up. Okay, so why do you warm up? So at the beginning of the session, especially when it's a hit session or a high-intensity session, Hi guys, I think I'm back. Don't know what happened there. Okay, so I'm going to start again from the beginning. Okay, so hopefully everything should be okay now. Okay, guys, so I'm going to start again from the beginning. Warm up and cool down. So I'm going to be going up through a warm up today and going through the importance of warming up, and the same for the cool down, going through a cool down and the importance of cooling down. So starting off with the warm up. So the idea of the warm up, especially if you're doing any sort of high impact or high intensity sort of workouts, is to prepare your body for that workout. So when I say prepare your body, you have to prepare the muscles, you have to prepare the joints, you've got to prepare the blood flow. Everything needs to be raised up gradually to prepare you for that workout. So when you're doing the warm-up, when we stretch in the warm-up, we want those stretches to be more what we call dynamic stretches. So you're going to go in and out of the stretch, as opposed to when you see us do the cool down, where you're holding stretches for a longer period of time. So I'm going to go through, starting from the top. You want to be working from the top down and thinking about all those joints that move and warming up all those muscles and those joints as you go along. So let me show you. So starting off from the top, when I'm warming up, my neck is the first joint here. So I'm going to start to move the neck. So your neck moves in various different ways. I'm going to start off just by moving the head side to side. So some people class this as mobility, some people class it as stretching. Doesn't matter what you class it as long as you're moving, warming the joint up, warming the muscles up. So when you warm up the joint, you have what we call synovial fluid around those joints, and that gets more viscous, it gets more fluid. Okay, it's quite sticky, and as it warms up, it gets looser. So that's what you want to aim to do. Warm up the joints there. So head side to side, and then ear down to shoulder. Ear to shoulder again. Warms up the neck, get the joints moving. Sometimes when you're doing this, you can hear a lot of cracking and popping, and the more you do it, the more you warm up, the less you'll hear that cracking and popping as you're doing the movement. Also, that fluid around the joint, it helps to lubricate the joint. So another reason that you need to warm up before you start. So again, that neck also goes forwards and back. So forwards and back, and also side to side. Some people have issues doing that movement, but your neck should be able to move in all of these directions. And depending on your type of workout, you may need to warm up the neck in all those different movements. So moving down from the neck, you've got the shoulders. So simple shoulder rolls. So with the joints, you want to think about going through the full range of movement for any joint that you're warming up. So to warm up a joint, you've just got to move it. Start with a smaller movement and then gradually increase the movements until you go to the full range. And then changing direction, same thing, rolling the shoulders. Next joint, elbow, turning the lower arm to warm up the elbow joints. Okay, you can do one at a time, you can do both together, again, in both directions. Again, this will depend on the type of workout I'm going into. If I know I'm going to be maybe doing press-ups and using my arms a lot, I'll probably want to warm up all these joints. You don't have to do them as an individual thing as well. You can do them as a bigger movement. So if I circle my arms, I'm warming up my shoulders. And I can also move my hands and arms at the elbow at the same time. So I'm sort of flinging the elbow out at the same time. So it depends on how much time you've got to warm up as well. So for today, I'm just going to go through all the joints individually, warming them up, both directions. Then from here, so we've got shoulder, we've got an elbow, now we've got the wrist. So again, simple wrist movements, side to side, up and down. Yeah, so you want to warm up the joints here and here. Now it's also important, again, even if you're not working out, if you're sitting around a lot, it's good to get up or even do this in your seat, get yourself warmed up. Helps to stretch those muscles, nourish the joints, especially if you're sitting down or doing some stationary things for a long period of time. Okay, so again, wrists up and down and circles in both directions. Hands together, pushing downwards. Again, this is a dynamic stretch of the wrist. Again, very good exercise. I've been doing a lot of typing and that type of thing. Get moving. So I'm keeping the heel of my hands together and I'm pushing straight down. I'm only going as far as I can without the heel of my hands breaking apart. Down and up. And then knuckles together, interlocking those fingers, making a movement there with the wrists. Again, just warming up and shaking it out. So I warmed up my neck, my shoulders, my elbows, my wrists, my fingers, all those things warmed up. Then I'm going to go to the spine. Starting off with a twist. So I'm rotating through the spine. I'm moving my shoulders, but I'm keeping my hips still. So I'm rotating. You can feel that all the way through lower back, all the way up. And also notice my head is staying still as well. So get the mobility there through the spine. So I can also move in this direction. So I'm reaching. Again, dynamic stretch there because I'm moving, I'm not holding, warming up, getting prepped up for the more high intensity stuff or just to get myself moving. Doing this sort of stuff first thing in the morning is also good as well. It hasn't got to be directly before exercise. Rolling down through the spine. So chin to the chest, shoulders roll forwards. Visualize your spine notching down one vertebra at a time. So from here, rolling down. Chin stays tucked in. I'm drawing my belly in as I'm peeling down. Rolling down through the spine. And I'm restacking from the base of the spine. I'm trying to restack as I'm coming back up. So when I'm doing this roll down and up, I'm visualizing my spine notching down one vertebra at a time, and I'm restacking on the way back up. Okay? So rolling down and up. Okay. And then coming back up here again, going back to a twist this time. I'm allowing my arms to relax. I'm turning the head, allowing the arms to wrap around the body. I'm pivoting up my foot. So I'm also bringing my hips into the movements. Just warming up that spine, working down the body. Okay, so coming to the hips. So you've got side to side. Hips, side to side. So I'm warming up the hips here. You've also got forwards and back. So I'm trying to move every joint through its full range of movements. Yeah, looks good, yeah? So side to side, forwards and back. So again, very good for the lower back. Then tucking those knees up. Again, working this hip joints, tucking them up. Again, you can do this lying down, but if I'm going to do a workout, I'll tend to do this standing up. Helps me with my balance as well at the same time. If you need to hold on to something, all well and good, no problem. It's more about getting that knee right up. I'm also moving here at the knee joint as well as the hip joints. There we go. Then working down to the feet. So with the feet, I'm just going to come up onto my tiptoes and then roll onto the heels. So I'm rolling backwards and forwards. And I'm also add the arms to that. So as I lift my arms up, I'm opening up the chest. I'm coming up onto the balls of the feet. So I'm working the ankle joint at the same time. So ankles, chest, shoulders, all at the same time. And again, it's a dynamic move because I'm trying to generate a bit of heat, a bit of warmth, a bit of movement, get myself ready for the workout. Again, going back to the hips, circling the knees. So I'm taking my knee across the body, opening up the hip, keeping those hips square to the front, opening up the hips, circling out. So with these movements, again, anywhere from 5 to 10 repetitions on each of these movements. It will also depend on, as I say, what workout you're doing, if you're doing a workout at all, as to how much time you're going to spend on each one. Okay, so leg swing, again, I'm opening up the hip. I'm using my arms as well. Opposite hand towards foot. So I'm opening up the hip on the back swing. I'm stretching out, dynamic stretch for the hamstring on the front swing. I'm going to reach towards my foot. So it's going to also stretch out my back, going diagonally across the body. Again, hold on if you need to. Swing and reach. So again, this is another great stretch. This is another great stretch, dynamic stretch, which is hitting multiple joints and multiple muscles and also helping that blood to flow all at the same time. So leg swing. Reaching across. Hold on if you need to. And you can also do this going across the body. What I tend to do is to hold on to something at the front here and allow the leg to swing across the body. Let me just turn that off. Allow the leg to swing across and out to the side. So if I just use my pole here, if I'm holding onto a wall, ledge, so it goes across and out the other side. So it's a swing, but it's going across the body again. This all just helps to open up that joint in the hip. That's a big joint there, so it needs a lot of movement, a lot of mobility in lots of multiple directions. Okay, guys, so for a warm-up, those are your general mobility stuff, but then you also need to make sure you get the body a little bit warmer by gradually building up the intensity of the movements. So I'll start off. Now, again, there's two ways to do this. You'll find the people that will do the mobility type stuff that we've just done first, and then gradually go into the more high intensity stuff. So for example, marching on the spot and stuff like that, which I'm going to show you in a second. Or you can start off, again, like today, you can see I've got my helm. It's cold in here. So I would normally start off with some general movement to get my heart rate up a bit, get myself a little bit warm, then go into the dynamic stretches, and then re-warm up again to start my workout. Okay, so let me show you. A general warm-up. Starting off, easy, marching on the spot. So all I'm doing is gradually increasing the intensity of the movements. So I'll start off with something low impact. Simple, marching on the spot. Heel dips. I'm tapping my heel. Yeah. Arm circles. Yeah. Wrapping the arms around the body, opening up the chest. Again, it's a dynamic move, but it's a big movement, so it's getting the heart rate up a bit. I can move the feet at the same time, just gradually increasing the intensity. Half jacks. Again, low impact movements, just warming the body up. And then I'll take those movements, those same movements, and get them to be a little more intense. So instead of marching, I'm jogging. That's the next level up. Instead of half jacks, I'm doing full jacks. So I'll start at the halves and go to the full. Okay? Instead of step curl, I'm running on the spot, flicking the heels up towards the bottom, taking the intensity up. So start off with low intensity, go into the higher intensity, and then you've got your general mobility. Okay? These are the important things within your warm-up. There's two ways to do it, as I say. Some people do the general mobility first, and then go into low impact and high impact, or lower intensity, higher intensity, or you can start with a low intensity, mobility, and high intensity. There is no wrong way to do that. It will depend on your circumstances. It will also depend on what the workout is. Okay? Once you've done your workout, though, then it's all about the cool down. So, what is the purpose of the cool down? First of all, as it says, it's cooling down. It's to try to get your heart rate back down to normal. But also, after your workout, your muscles are going to be under tension. Okay, you've just done a workout, so you're pumped up. So we want to get those muscles back to normal length. They shorten when you do that workout. So we want to get them back to normal length. So that's the first thing. We want to stretch them, get them back to normal length. Not just the muscle, but also you have what we call a fascia, which is around the muscle. You want to also get that stretched back to normal length. Okay. Also help to flush out the muscles as well, because you maybe get a build up, a bit of lactic acid in there and what have you. The stretch will help to release that a little bit as well. And it might just help you from getting cramp and things like this after your workout as well. So the same philosophy, as in working through all the major joints and muscles of the body, but this time, rather than in the warm-up, where we're going in and out of the stretch. So that was what we did with the head and the neck and the shoulders. We want to hold positions. So, for example, shoulders. With the shoulders, we've got the major muscles attached to that. So we've got the chest, and we've got the actual shoulder muscles. So I'm going to work, again, I'd like to do a cool down stretch lying down because it also helps the heart rate come down because you're on the floor. It's not essential. So I tend to do the stuff lying down. So if you can imagine, we've just done hard workout and we've done it before. You've just done your hard workout. You want to lie down. Most people do after do a hard workout. So I'm going to start off with some of the bigger joints. We're going to go through the legs and then work backwards. So when I'm warming up, it tends to be the smaller joints because I'm standing up. Start from the top and work down. I tend to work from the bottom up more so on the cool down. So first joint I'll tend to do is, again, the hips. So glutes. I want to get that stretch out. Big muscle. So I'll lie down on the back, cross one leg over the other. Now, again, this is going to depend on your mobility. The goal of this stretch is to stretch out the glutes. So if you are able to get that leg crossed over, it might be a case that you're just pulling the knee into the chest. Again, it's still stretching out that glute muscle. Now, how long are you going to hold these stretches for? You need to hold them for a minimum of 20 seconds. Okay, that's a bare minimum. If you want to get more mobile or you want to get more flexible in a particular area, then you're going to be looking to hold these stretches for a minimum of 1 minute. Okay, ideally, the longer you hold them, the more flexible you're going to get. What you have to think about, for those people that want to get more flexible in a particular area, you have what we call stretch reflex sensors inside your muscle. So these are your muscle fibers. So when you stretch, you'll get to a point where your body's going to switch on these stretch reflexes to stop you from going any further so you don't pull your muscles. So you stretch, you get to a point, you feel that mild discomfort, a little bit of pain, whatever, and you stop. If you hold that position, it tricks those sensors to think that you've stopped stretching. Yeah, so you hold, those sensors relax, then you can go a little bit further. But you need to hold that stretch for at least 20 seconds to allow those sensors to sort of switch themselves off. Then you can go a little bit deeper into the stretch. Okay, so that's if you want to get more mobile or you need to get more flexible in a particular area. But if we're just cooling down, we just want to get the muscle back to normal length, you don't tend to have to hold it for so long. So minimum of 20 seconds, 30 seconds ideal, but you don't have to worry about going deeper and deeper into the stretch. Okay. If you're, say, a yoga practitioner or you're trying to get flexible for something, or you're quite tight in a particular area and you need to get more flexible, then yes, you need to hold your stretches for longer and work and breathe into those stretches so that you get that release of the muscles. Okay, so going through the muscles, starting off with the glutes, pull that knee right into the chest. Just tilt it down a little bit there. Pull that knee right into the chest, stretch out the glutes, or if you're mobile enough, cross that leg over, and then you're going to grab the opposite leg and pull it in. I'm relaxing the head down. I pull the muscle, or pull the leg, should I say, until I feel that stretch, and hold. I'm holding, I'm relaxing, and I'm breathing. Now that breath is important. That breath helps you to relax. It also helps you to go deeper into the stretch. Holding that there, 20 to 30 seconds, and pop down there, and do the same on the other side. Okay, so again, always make sure you do even on each side. You'll also find as well, guys, that when you're doing these stretches, you'll find maybe one side is tighter than the other. So it makes sense for you to spend a little bit more time on that stretcher side, on the tight side, because what you want is you want to get your body as even as possible. So for example, if one hip is tight and the other one is loose, or not loose, but normal, then you want to focus on that tighter side, try and get them as even as possible, because this is when you tend to get injuries, because one side is tight, one side isn't as tight, and you get this sort of torquing effect of the spine because one side's moving more than the other. Tight side doesn't move as much. and obviously the normal side is moving more. So then the slack has to be taken up in the spine, so you get this sort of torquing effect. So you want to be as even as possible. Most people are more flexible on one side than the other because you have a dominant side. One side's working more than the other. So you try and even yourself out by spending a little bit longer on that tighter side. So after that, okay, I'm going to sit myself up. Again, this hasn't got to be done in this order, but if you have a sequence for your stretching, it's a lot easier not to forget any of your stretches. So next, I'm going to stretch out the spine and the hamstrings, sliding my hands down towards my feet. Now, obviously, some people can reach their toes no problem. Other people, you need to just go as far as you can manage. But the main thing is, wherever you are, just take a note of how far you're reaching. And if your goal is to reach your toes, no problem. But you have to spend a bit longer in the stretch to get there. So if I want to get to my toes, I'll reach so far, hold the stretch. I'm pulling my tummy in. I'm relaxing my head down, I'm breathing. Once that tension releases, go a little further. Hold the stretch, relax into it. Breathe. When it starts, the tension starts to go, again, breathe out and reach. And do that about 3 times if you want to get more flexible in that area. If not, then hold it and just do 1 time if you're going for your normal post stretch. Okay, so hamstrings, lower back, glutes. I'm going to roll over now onto my tummy. I want to do the front of the leg. So quad stretch. So for the quad stretch, again, this will depend on your mobility. You may need to roll onto your side to grab your ankle, or you may be able to just jump straight into it from lying down onto your tummy. So I'm putting my forehead down on my hand, my heel towards my bum. Now, the important thing with this stretch, guys, I don't know if you can see this, but when I'm stretching the front of my leg in my quads, I need to make sure and think about where the muscles are attached. My muscle on my quad here is attached above my hip here. So I need to open this hip joint up. So when I'm stretching, if I'm doing this and my bum is up high like this, then my hip here is not getting the stretch. So I need to push my hip into the floor, pull that heel towards my bum, and then I'm also thinking about lifting my knee up. So I want to open up that joint. Think about where that muscle is crossing the joint, and you have to think about opening those joints up to get that stretch. So if I'm doing this, so for example, if I'm doing a quad stretch here and I'm still bent here in the hip, no good. I have to open the hip up to get that stretch. Yeah. So quad stretch, you lie down on your tummy like this, which I find is quite effective because you've got the floor as a good reference. I'm pushing my hip into the floor, pulling my heel towards my bum, and I can hold this position without having to worry about balancing. Same on the other side. Heel to the bum, done. Okay, coming up. So now I'm up onto my hands and knees. So again, having a nice sequence, so you're jumping from one position to the next. Onto the hands and knees, I'm going to focus again on my back, but not just my back, but my lower back specifically, and just tilting the pelvis. A little bit of mobility first, and then tuck under. I'm drawing my belly up, and I'm sitting back just a touch to get that stretch right there in the lower back. A little bit of a wiggle there, hold it there. Yeah. Then extending those arms out at the front, and I'm pushing my head through the arms. And this stretch is hitting the shoulders, it's also hitting the chest at the same time. Dropping down, extending through those arms. I can relax my head on the floor if I like. If I want to increase that stretch, I can come up onto the fingertips. If you can see that, you can come right up onto the fingertips like this, and then push the head through. This gives you a bit more room to drop the head and the chest through. So again, when you're doing these stretches, guys, you need to think, where's your starting point? Work with what you've got and try and increase it if you need to, or just make sure you're maintaining some sort of mobility. Okay, because after your workout, as I said before, your muscles are going to shrink, they're going to shorten, they're going to get tighter. You want to get them back to normal And if you need developing in the area, it's important that you hold stretch for long enough. If you're just doing what we call a token stretch, then that's no good. That's no good. Just going through the motions is not enough. You've got to hold them for long enough if you want to get more flexible. Right, so we've done lower back, we've done quads, we've done glutes. We're going to now do the back of the legs here. Again, we did one earlier where we're stretching in conjunction with the lower back, but then a good one specifically for the hamstrings. And a lot of people suffer from tight hamstrings. On one knee, extend one leg forwards, and then just push the bum back. Now again, what you'll find is most stretches can be done in various different ways. This is the one I would choose for the simple reason I'm closer to the floor, haven't got to worry too much about my balance, and I can hold this position for a little bit longer without having to worry about the balance. And I can feel it's quite effective. Now with this stretch, that hamstring, the back of the legs, it goes across the knee joint, and it's also attached to the glutes here at the back. So you need to think about those two joints opening up. Again, if your leg's not dead straight, it's no problem. You're going to work with how it feels. Once you feel that stretch, hold it. Allow it to relax, trick those sensors, then go a little deeper. Now, going deeper might involve you just pushing your bum out a little bit more. Try not to round the back out too much with this one. If you can keep that chest up slightly and maintain a little neutral spine instead of relaxing and rounding out, that's going to be more effective. Because if you look at my hip here, as I round out the back, the tailbone tucks under. If I lift my chest up and watch my hip tilt the pelvis, so from there to there, it's increasing that stretch by stretching the muscles in opposite directions. Okay, so that's the hamstring. Again, same thing on the other side. Now, from this position here, from the hamstrings, then you can think about what I tend to do then is to stand up for more exercise. Everything's in reverse on here. Oh, look, there you go. Okay. So what you've got to think about is upper body now. So most of the lower body has been done. In fact, I'm just going to take this off. I'm looking at my reflection here and I'm working in opposites. Okay, so taking a stand. So I've worked on my hamstrings, my quads, my glutes, done the lower back, and now I'm going to work on the upper body, the chest. Place the hands on your bum, pull the shoulders back. Now I tend to couple this up with a calf stretch. So what I tend to do for this calf stretch is I push into the heel. So on the ball of the foot, back leg straight, and then drop the weight into the heel. And you feel that stretch right here in the back of the leg, in the calf. Okay, at the same time, I'm opening up the chest by pulling the shoulders back and slightly leaning forward. So if you look at the angle, my shoulder, my hip, and my heel, I'm looking for one straight diagonal line, and then the tension is by opening up the chest, rolling the shoulders back, and dropping the weight into the heel. So I'm getting two stretches here in one, and same on the other side, dropping into that heel. So again, I can stay with this chest stretch, and I can go for the opposite stretch here, the back muscles, the lats here in the back, and in between the shoulder blades where we carry a lot of tension, push those shoulder blades apart. So I'm stretching out the back, upper back, and again, that calf. So again, I'm going through the body systematically, okay? So doing all the legs and the hips, working up, doing the chest, okay? So staying with the arms, back of the arm. Place the hand in between the shoulder blades. So when you're doing this, hands in between the shoulder blades, grab a hold of the elbow, and I'm pulling and a slight lean at the same time. So I'm getting the back of the arm, but I'm also stretching up the whole of my side at the same time. Now again, this can be done standing. I'm kneeling down for this, but can be done either way. Again, holding that stretch, breathe into the stretch, and then same on the other side. Again, holding 20 to 30 seconds. Just make sure that you're getting that muscle back to its normal length. Okay, so I'll work through the body systematically, holding those stretches, making sure that they're effective. Okay, guys, so that's about it, really. So warm up, just to recap. Got to get the body warm first of all, get the blood flowing, get the muscles more elastic, because obviously as you warm up, your muscles are a little bit like plasticine. If you get plasticine, it's cold, it's quite hard and it breaks when you pull it, but then as it warms up, it gets more stringy. Your muscles are a little bit like that. So you want to warm them up so that they're more pliable. Get the joints warmed up. So again, you've got that fluid around the joints. And you want that joint to help them to mobilize the joints. That's like your oil in your car sort of thing. So you want to get the joints all nice and fluid, and then heart rate up, work on all the joints, starting from the top, working on down. And again, as I say, when you're talking about mobility and prepping up for your workout, it's a matter of starting off low intensity, gradually increasing the intensity as you go through, and then also working through the mobility of each one of those joints. Okay, cool down, getting the heart rate down, starting off lying down if you can. It's not essential, depends on what the workout is. And again, working on those bigger joints. Use your breathing to relax into the stretches, holding them for long enough so that they're effective, hold them for even longer, at least a minute if you need to get more mobile. So any questions, any queries? Sorry about the little technical issue at the beginning. I don't know what happened. My screen just went blank. But anyways, we're back on track. So any questions, any queries about warm-ups, cool down, or anything like that, feel free to put them in the comments and I will check them later and answer any questions there that you have. So thanks for listening, and that's hopefully we'll see you next week here at the Virtual Village Hall, back to the regular session of the hits. See you soon, guys.